You escaped the job, the system, the Pharaoh with a name tag and a mandatory Zoom huddle at 8:59 a.m. You said, "I'm done." You marched out of Egypt with nothing but your LinkedIn bio and a dream. You were fired up, motivated, free. And now, you're in the middle of nowhere. The promised land is nowhere in sight. Your savings are looking like manna. It disappears daily. You're broke, tired, stressed, and Googling things like how to make money from home legally. What is drop shipping, and can I do it without inventory? Is it a sin to go back to my old job? And meanwhile, your friends are sending you job listings like, just in case the Lord hasn't departed the Red Sea yet. Welcome back to Biblical Economics, where ancient scrolls meet modern spreadsheets, and Moses might have been the first guy to lead a startup out of corporate slavery. Today, we're talking about that brutal in-between zone. You know the one. You left the 9 to 5. You told your boss, "I'm called to more." Maybe you even did it dramatically, with a resignation email that had scripture in the signature. You felt bold, anointed. You pictured yourself walking into freedom like a faith-based superhero. But now, it's month 3, and instead of managing your own business, you're managing your pantry inventory. Your dreams are on pause, and dinner is 3 flavors of ramen and whatever rests left in the fridge from your meal prep season. And you're thinking, wait, God, hello? I thought I was following you? But here's the truth. The Israelites were in the exact same situation. God frees them from 400 years of slavery, right? Huge miracle. Plagues, signs, wonders. It's epic, and you'd think the next stop is palm trees and beachfront property. Nope. Instead, they get a 40-year group hike in the world's driest place. No AC, no Spotify, no Deliveroo, and the only Wi-Fi was complaining directly to God, in which they did. A lot. They thought freedom would be immediate, but God knew that before they could live free, they had to think free. And that takes time, pressure, and yes, sometimes even wilderness noodles. The desert wasn't a punishment. It was a detox. God wasn't just relocating his people, he was rewiring them. Because it's one thing to get out of Egypt. It's another thing to get Egypt out of you. See, slavery doesn't just shackle your body, it shapes your mindset. When all you've ever known is orders, rations, and just enough to survive, freedom feels foreign and scary. That's why the Israelites, only days after being miraculously freed, were already complaining, not about being tired, not about enemies, but about garlic. Garlic. Numbers 11.5. We remember the fish we ate in Egypt at no cost, also the cucumbers, melons, leeks, onions, and garlic. They out here naming salad ingredients like they're reading from a Cheesecake Factory menu. They missed garlic more than they valued freedom. That's how deep comfort addiction goes. That's what happens when you've been in survival mode so long, you start mistaking captivity for consistency. Fast forward to today, you're in your 3rd week of self-employment. You're running on faith, caffeine, and vibes. Your website's still under construction. You haven't had a client yet, and suddenly, that toxic job starts looking cute. You start romanticizing it. Well, at least they had free coffee. Janice in HR wasn't that bad. I mean, sure, I was dying inside, but I had dental. That's how Egypt talks to you in the desert, with nostalgia. But don't fall for it. Garlic isn't worth your calling. Let us keep it real. Most people die in the desert, not because they weren't called, but because they didn't count the cost. They thought freedom would feel like a vacation, like they'd leave the job on Friday, start the business on Monday, and be thriving by Wednesday. They expected the promised land with prime shipping. But God's process? It's not Amazon. It's Exodus. It's not microwaved. It's marinated, fire-tested, and painfully slow-cooked. And yeah, it comes with delays, detours, and days where you doubt everything. You'll question your decisions. Did I really hear from God, or was that just indigestion? You'll doubt your calling. Maybe I'm not chosen. Maybe I'm just unemployed. You'll be tempted to go back to Egypt. Like, okay, maybe Pharaoh wasn't great, But at least there was a paycheck and casual Fridays. And LinkedIn will be sitting there like that one ex who texts you, "Hey, just checking in, right when you're weakest." But hear me, Egypt had meat, yeah. It had leeks and onions and the illusion of stability. But it also had chains and whips and ceilings on your purpose and limits on your soul. The desert may be hard, but it's honest. It won't feed your ego, but it will feed your faith. It won't give you comfort, but it'll give you character. And that's what it takes to handle the land God is trying to give you. How to survive the desert without dying or running back to Egypt. Step 1. Stop romanticizing captivity. That old job wasn't a dream. It was your spiritual sleep paralysis. You weren't resting, you were stuck, frozen, afraid to move, afraid to speak. And just like in Egypt, you were building someone else's empire while forgetting your own name. But now that you're free, the temptation is to look back with rose-colored glasses. To remember the stability but forget the soul-crushing. To remember the benefits but ignore the burnout. To say, well, maybe it wasn't that bad, when you know you were praying for deliverance every Monday morning. Don't let nostalgia lie to you. Chains are still chains, even if they come with dental. Step 2. Expect manna, not Uber Eats. God will provide, but don't confuse provision with comfort. He's not dropping filet mignon from the sky. There's no 30-minute delivery guarantee. What he's offering is manna, just enough for today, not for your 10-year plan, not for your vision board, just for today. Because in the wilderness, God isn't just feeding you, He's training you. He's teaching you to trust the source more than the storage. He's building your faith muscles, and He's reminding you, portion control is spiritual. Step 3. Walk with weirdos. You weren't meant to wander alone. The Israelites, they didn't walk solo. They moved as a messy, doubtful, often annoying community. But they moved together. They had complainers, overthinkers, people who tried to go back, people who didn't pack snacks. It was chaotic, but they stayed in motion. So stop looking for perfect people. Find weirdos with vision. People who are breaking cycles, leaving jobs, trusting God, and chasing something bigger than a salary. People who will say, yeah, this is hard, but we're not going back. Walk with people who would rather wander toward purpose than sit comfortably in bondage. Some of you are this close to quitting. Like, you've got the tab open right now. LinkedIn, Indeed, jobs near me. You're hovering over that apply button like it's an escape hatch. You're looking back at Egypt like it's your ex's Instagram, scrolling, reminiscing, thinking, maybe it wasn't that bad. They had snacks. Let me be real with you. Block it. Mute the nostalgia. Unfollow the fear. Keep walking. Because your promised land? It's not behind you. It's not in that cubicle, that paycheck, that predictable but soul-draining routine. That was just the place you survived. But what God has for you, that's where you thrive. And yeah, the road ahead is hard. The desert is dry, the Wi-Fi is weak, the faith is tested, but progress still counts, even when it's slow and sandy. Even Moses didn't have MapQuest. He didn't have a GPS or a 5-year plan. Half the time, they were literally just following a cloud by day and fire by night like some divine Uber signal. But they got there, eventually. And if God can guide a whole nation through the wilderness with no Wi-Fi, no infrastructure, and a leader with a speech impediment, trust me, He can get you there too. So don't die in the desert. Don't stop walking just because it's hard. If God brought you out, He plans to bring you in. This is your exodus. Stay the course. If you're in the desert right now, drop a heart in the comments. If you're walking anyway, drop a like. Subscribe for more biblical truths, spiritual punchlines, and practical ways to escape financial Egypt without dying halfway through.